Hey all, hope you guys are having a good day. We're here for the Fort of Fortune breakdown video. Or Forts of Forgotten. I'm already messing it up. My name is Captain Logan. I'm from the Keelhauled podcast. We're going to be talking about the breakdown of the latest trailer for the Sea of Thieves Adventure. If you have not watched this already, then you're going to be doing yourselves a disservice. You're really going to want to make sure that you go ahead and watch the video first without the commentary, and then come back for the breakdown afterwards. But I want to break down some of the thoughts and feelings of what this is, what it could mean as we kind of move forward into the adventure that comes out later this week. So right off the bat, I love that we're opening up with a sea fort. These are the newest adventure items in season 6, and it's really nice to kind of have these showcased along with the actual narrative. So right off the bat, we've got some of the Spanish officers that are walking around, kind of taking a look at some of the people that are being held captive. These are the merchants from Golden Sands outpost. So they're all kind of locked up right now. And it's kind of interesting to see that they're being kept alive. These weren't people who were just straight up killed. They're actually being held hostage. It's nice to see Shelley in the adventures. If you went and listened to the John McMurtry interview over on the Keelhauled podcast, you know that Shelley is being written into almost every single adventure if possible. So it's great to have that kind of mascot there to just kind of pay tribute to some of the fans that have been watching these cinematics for basically since the beginning of the game. And we open up with Wanda. Wanda is being kept in one of these jail cells at the sea forts, and we don't really know exactly why, but we're going to be finding out that neither do the officers know as we kind of get into this.
So, who are they?
Right off the bat, I like that they have a narrative inlet for viewers who aren't kept up with this, especially for people that haven't been following the story so far. They're going to look at these people and not really know who they are. So it's nice to have someone who's asking the questions that the audience should be asking as well too. Really good design in this instance of as far as like developing the characters and kind of giving the audience a way into the story without feeling dumb about not knowing who these characters are, because if you don't, then it's fine. It'll be uncovered in the future. But also, if you're watching the breakdown, I'll be diving into who they are and why it's important that we kind of understand who that is.
I don't know.
Well, how long do we need to hold them here?
I don't know.
This was really interesting because as these guys are kind of watching the Golden Sands merchants, it's clear that they are just following orders and they're on a need to know basis. And we don't know exactly why or for what reasons, but it is clear that they are in charge. This is one of those instances where it looks like these officers are holding the keys to the prison cells that we've been wondering have been absent since Sea Forts went live. These prison cells have the opportunity to use a key, but we have not seen that key in the game. So if you bought the prison dog from the Pirate's Life Emporium update, you'll recognize the ring and the keys on it as kind of the kind of quintessential prison key for these different cells.
So, why are we holding them?
Listen.
It's kind of interesting that these officers don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but they know that they need to do it. And I think we're going to find out a little bit about why, but not everything. And it definitely opens up a lot of questions.
We are officers of the Spanish fleet. We do what Flameheart demands. That was the...
So that was kind of interesting. These aren't just regular guards. They're not just regular spirits. These are Spanish officers, and they're part of the Spanish officer fleet. And it's clear that there is a purpose to them. We don't know what that purpose is. Typically, the Spanish were very, very much involved with killing pirates. So it wouldn't be too far to say that the reason why they're here is to try and kill as many pirates as possible. So it's interesting to know that they are working with Flameheart. If Flameheart needed an ally to take out pirates so that he could control the Sea of Thieves, bringing on the Spanish as phantoms would be an interesting, but not, it's kind of one of those, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I could see how this alliance could go, but it doesn't seem like it is a very fair alliance, if anything. Actually, I'm going to pull it back a little bit too.
What Flameheart demands. That was the deal. You know that.
So that's kind of interesting. There's a deal going on right now. And it's between the Spanish officers and Flameheart. So it begs the question, what is it that Flameheart can offer that these Spanish officers could enjoy, that they don't understand why they're doing it? So if it's to kill pirates, then it would make sense why they would be asking, why are they still alive, as opposed to why are we keeping them? But if it was something like the ability to give them back their bodies, or at least a body, in Sea of Thieves, we have remnants. If you're not familiar, remnants are something that is described in the Sea of Thieves RPG book, which is over on the shelf right there, if you can see the camera. And the remnants are basically bodies that have spirits possessing them. The mysterious strangers, George and Gloria, were remnants. And in the RPG book, that's kind of explained a little bit further. But Flameheart has, as far as we know, the ability to, or at least the knowledge of magic that is used to contain souls within objects and release souls from objects. This is something that we understood a little bit more of as we dove into the Heart of Soul, or no, the Seabound Soul, with Captain Pendragon, as Pendragon went around to some of the different wrecks after Grey Morrow's kind of sailing around, or the Ashen Dragon, I believe was the name of the actual ship, as they kind of went around and actually started to release some of the souls that were trapped within the owners' skulls, effectively. So we know that magic's out there. And if this is something that Flameheart has promised the Spanish officers, say you want to control the Sea of Thieves, well, you need an army to do that. And what if you can give phantoms back an opportunity to get back into a body so they could be immortal in the Sea of Thieves, where you come back from the ferry, as long as the ferryman's in charge, which would also kind of explain why these merchants from Golden Sands Outpost are being kept alive. Are they being kept alive as a sacrifice for the rituals that they're going to be performing? And are we going to be seeing them kind of used as vessels for the Sea of Thieves officers, for these phantoms? As we kind of go back, I wanted to open up and just kind of point out that as we're looking at the jail cell, this jail cell doesn't actually have any of the summoning rituals that we've seen in the sea forts currently. So it begs into question, when is this taking place? Is this something that's taking place prior to when the sea forts were fully formed, or right as the sea forts were fully formed? How much of these sea forts are based off of memory, and how corporeal are they? Because we have things like skeletons in there. Was that based off of memory, or how were these sea forts kind of brought into existence, as we know that they are from the Sea of the Damned, even though they're in the Sea of Thieves, and they seem pretty solid for the most part when they weren't not too long ago. But it does make me wonder if this is something that has happened prior to the actual rituals that happened in the actual cells themselves. So as we kind of skip forward,
why are we holding them?
Listen, we are officers of the Spanish fleet. We do what Flameheart demands. That was the deal. You know that.
You mean the giant head in the sky?
classic. I love it.
Not anymore, he's not. And besides...
So that's an interesting line as well, too. We now have confirmation that Flameheart Sr. is no longer just the big head in the sky. There's a chance that he is in a body, and his body may not be the same body that we exhumed from the tomb over in the Devil's Roar. It could very well be a different body. And as we kind of move forward with this this narrative, this idea that right now there are members of the Golden Sands Outpost that need to be rescued, there are phantoms that are looking for some deal with Flameheart and a power that Flameheart can offer them, whether it be gold or bodies or what have you. We don't know. But there's something that Flameheart can offer them that would cause them to be so blindly driven to this deal, whether it be a way to return to the Sea of Thieves or not, which is also a possibility, whether it be through a body or not. But we definitely know now that Flameheart Sr. is no longer just a head in the sky. There's a small possibility that Flameheart's head has retreated into the Sea of the Damned. We're not quite sure about that, but it's up there for speculation. But there's a good opportunity for him to be possessing the Servant of Flame.
You know what would happen if we were to disobey? There are many different ways to put someone in a cage.
So that was a great line. It's not an idle threat. We've seen souls trapped in objects, whether it be the skulls of the people that died, or in paintings with Pendragon. We've seen that type of magic is in the world of Sea of Thieves. So to live off of the fear that is a way to be trapped in a cage. For phantoms, that is scary, because if you're just an object, then much like Pendragon, who is trapped in the portrait of himself, he could do nothing for it until someone came and pulled him from that portrait, which ended up being Stitcher Jim. So it's very clear that the reason why they're obeying this deal, or why they're going along with it, is that there's a promise from Flameheart to get something. And while they may not know all of the information as to why, they know that there is definitely a cost involved if they disobey, and that is a big enough fear to cause them to call into question anything that comes from the servant. They kind of keep their mouths shut about that, and they even talk about this.
You should just keep going.
And this is kind of the moment where it's like two guards are talking, and they're getting a little heated. They're getting a little over their head, and they shouldn't really be speaking about such things in public. And as soon as the door opens, it is very ominous. And this is one of the actual doors. So in the Sea Forts, there's actually unaccounted space that actually happens in underneath the actual Sea Forts. There's this big area underneath the first floor that isn't accounted for, and we have this door that opens up, which you can actually visit. There's no way to get in there. But we see Flameheart, or not Flameheart, we see the Servant of Flame walking out of the actual room. The door opens for once. It's completely engulfed in flames, or at least not in flames, but in red light, which it suggests a lot of flames, which is very akin to the Reaper's hideout right now. But the Servant of Flame walks out. The eyes are black in this instance, so there's nothing actually going on. But the Servant of Flame actually walks with purpose. He doesn't walk out, look around to see who's talking or what's going on. He's walking out and has a very, very stern look, a very tight posture, as if he's just a marionette being pulled along with strings to kind of go where he needs to go. And let me actually pull this back a little bit. I love the ominous nature of it too.
Sir.
This part is great because it's clear that the officers are there and they're not aware of the whole plan. One of them that was kind of scolding the other addresses the Servant of Flame, who obviously is in power right now. And the other one recognizes that there's no reaction, there's no acknowledgement, which is a very kind of admiral or kind of anti-military thing to do. Like, there should be at least an at ease or a salute back or some sort of addressal to your troops if you're going to be walking amongst them, to at least give them an idea, like there is acknowledgement there. But it's clear that they're a little unease about, the fact that it's not being addressed, or they're not being addressed or even recognized.
This one.
I love that it's the voice from the orb streams. I went and took a look back and listened to it, and the gruffness of the voice is similar to the voice that is being used for the servant, who is suspected to be Flameheart Jr. or just a puppet that is being controlled by Flameheart Jr. It could be Flameheart himself, but it's hard to gauge because the voice doesn't sound spot on. It sounds slightly different, similar enough where you might be able to get away with it. But this is a great moment because it's basically the Servant of Flame commanding the officers without actually addressing them to bring Wanda for whatever purpose it is. We don't know for sure, but there's some speculation as we kind of move further into it. And Wanda is freaked out by this. And he says to bring her. And she knows that there's something going on. Also, Wanda has striking blue eyes. Very impressive. As we kind of move out to this outward shot, it's interesting to kind of take a look at the actual fort, because if you scroll back, I thought this was just a rendering thing at first, but it's clear that the fort is dark at first, and then as it pulls away, it lights up blue, and it lights up so blue that it actually illuminates the faces of Wanda the Warsmith and a new person on the bow of a ship that is sailing over to the seapost. This was really interesting too, because we see Wanda for the first time since the Tall Tales, who we thought was trapped in the Sea of the Damned, but is now back, or is at least showing herself, or someone who looks exactly like her. And it looks as though she's on her Wanda the Warsmith ship with her liveries. She's not on a skeleton. She's not at the helm of a skeleton ship anymore. In fact, we haven't seen skeleton ships in a while, so it makes you wonder: is she still in control of those? Are they still wandering around the world? Are they in hiding for the time being until it's time to actually call them into action? But right now we show Wanda the Warsmith up at the front bow of the Captain Warsmith livery set on a galleon as it's sailing towards one of these sea forts. You see the bright glow, the bright blue glow coming from the sea fort, which to me suggests that there's a ritual going on, which would indicate that whatever is happening is happening to Wanda the Weaponsmith, the sister of Wanda the Warsmith. So it's kind of nice to see. And there's been some good speculation going on between who the additional person is. It seems like they're first in command, waiting for orders. And as we see Wanda kind of clenching her fist, it feels like there's a very personal thing going on right now. Like, she understands that her sister was still her sister. She still holds some sort of desire to protect her sister. Otherwise, it seems kind of odd that she would be going after the Servant of Flame specifically, unless she planned on rescuing her sister. And she doesn't like the fact that Flameheart or the Servant of Flame has captured her sister and is trying to use her for some reason. We don't know necessarily if she's being used to convert her into something that will serve Flameheart's purpose, or if if Flameheart is actually trying to draw out Wanda the Warsmith to try and deal with her in his own fashion, because ever since his love or her love was unrequited, it seems as though she's kind of hell-bent on destroying any chance of Flameheart controlling the seas, which is exactly what he's doing. So right now, like, Wanda is probably the biggest obstacle in his way. He feels like he can control the Sea of Thieves because we're nothing but a bunch of alliance-forming mermaid working with merfolk and stuff. And, he's doing whatever he can to control the Sea of Thieves. And Wanda has so far been putting up the most resistance outside of us defeating his fleets by creating the Reaper's Bones, which is calling into question: is she still in control of the Reaper's Bones? Is Flameheart in control of the Reaper's Bones at this point? And is she pissed about that more than anything? Maybe she doesn't find out that her sister was kidnapped, or maybe she doesn't know, but she finds out later. So there's some question as the motive for what Wanda is doing. She could just be upset that Flameheart has control over the Servant of Flame and thus the Reaper's Bones, which would make sense why we are seeing this other masked stranger behind Wanda, who many are speculating on the identity of. Some of the best stuff that I think I've seen so far lends to a theory that myself and Falcor had thought about, and many others in the community, where back when we didn't know who the mysterious stranger was, there was speculation going on that because of the birthmark or the beauty mark on the mask, that it could have been a character named Amarantha that was one of the sea dogs at the Sea Dog Tavern in Adventure. she had a beauty mark in the same place, and she she disappeared for a while in Sea of Thieves around the time that we were kind of dealing with the masked stranger and who they were as we were trying to uncover that mystery. And Rare played into it really well. They did a good job kind of playing into it, and having a second masked stranger lends credence to them going back to the well on this and looking to build up the idea that now that the Sea Dogs are unemployed because of DeMarco, that there might be a little animosity around there, and that they might be looking for a job. And what better job than for a bunch of scorned women against men to kind of band together. Warsmith, the Wanda, was scorned by Flameheart. Amarantha lost her job as a result of DeMarco. There's also a possibility of it being Lissetti. Lissetti could be pissed off that DeMarco shut down Arena without her input, and is working with Wanda to try and regain some of the control, bring some of that PvP to Sea of Thieves. So I love this. I love the idea of this. I've kind of dubbed these the Maidens of Sorrow, if that's the case. If it is something where they were dealt a bad hand, they're mad about it, and they want revenge or justice for what happened to them, which would be totally justifiable from my perspective. So I love the idea of calling them the Maidens of Sorrow. I think it's really, it cues in really well to the beautiful white faces of the mask, the porcelain masks, but the cracks in the mask to indicate that something bad has happened to their innocence, and it's caused them to lose that innocence, and as a result, they are vengeful in that desire for getting revenge or getting vengeance for what was done to them. So I love the idea of the Maidens of Sorrow. Please let that be a thing, Rare. But that's kind of what I'm going with. But in the actual footage here, you can kind of see like Wanda is looking towards the sea fort as this ritual or whatever magic is being performed there, this big blue light that comes up, and it's illuminating her face as well as the face of the other Maiden of Sorrow. And it seems really clear that is going to kick off what's happening between Flameheart and Warsmith. I think Wanda is going to try and get back her sister. I think this is a great way to kind of start off an adventure, is kind of making things personal on the Sea of Thieves. I think that's a great way to kind of drive narrative, is to draw emotion into it, to try and draw the people together to pick a side, if you will. You've got the Reaper's Bones, which are now under control of Flameheart, with the Spanish fleet officer phantoms who are helping kind of execute the orders of Flameheart. And then you have the Maidens of Sorrow coming out of the woodwork to try and stomp them, because if Flameheart gets control, then he'll have won, and that's completely against what the Warsmith wants at this point, because she's so mad at him. I don't know that I necessarily agree with the motivation of Wanda being purely based off of an unrequited love. I think that's a little tropey, but I do like the idea if it was something that she had aspirations on her own. And if that's the case, then I'm totally for it, because I love her having agency beyond just what it comes down to, which so far feels like it is an unrequited love and a spurned for that. I love the little bit here, though. If you listen in, it's interesting. It's something that they did in the Sea of Thieves news video to kind of kick this off. It sounds like a stone slab moving, and as it sets in place, a bunch of sparks fly up, and then a bunch of dirt falls from the ceiling. So it seems like something is moving out of the way to kind of open up a new area. So it makes me wonder if there's area that's underneath the sea level of the forts that we haven't seen yet, that is hidden away by the room that the Servant of Flame actually comes out of. So if we go back to the Servant of Flame coming out of this room, there's a lot of flames or a lot of light coming out of that room, and it would not surprise me if there is a trap door in there that is opened up as a result of a voyage that we could go get from Lorena, or if we uncover something with the dark relics, if we're able to gain access to that room, if there's a completely new area down in there. Or it could indicate that this is finally the opening of the Reaper's hideout, that there's something underneath all of the woodwork that's in that area, and we're finally going to be able to get into there. But I imagine it'll probably tie to the sea forts, just because there is definitely an area in that sea fort that is not accessible, and that hopefully we'll be able to gain access to that. But I think at the very end here, with the actual trailer and the date and stuff, that's kind of the indication is that something's opening up. There's a bunch of sparks from a fire that shoot up as a result of like wind bursting through, and then a bunch of sand kind of coming down, or dirt coming down from the top. So I love this. I think they've done a really great job with it. Kudos to the team over at Rare for coming up with a really interesting cinematic, and it was really nice to have this and then only have to wait a couple days to actually get this. But I want to hear your thoughts, so down in the comments, let me know what you guys think. If you think of something that I haven't thought of, I'd love to see some ideas and speculation around this. We're getting in the adventure obviously this Thursday, so look forward to that on the 24th, and that goes till the 7th of April. Really excited to kind of see where the story goes. I think they've done a great job kind of kicking this up, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the content. So I'm hopefully going to be able to do more of these breakdown videos for you. I'm trying to keep them kind of fast and loose, so I don't have to do a whole lot of editing. So this is just going to get thrown up with a base thumbnail and stuff, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So let me know if you do, and I'll see if I can keep doing these in the future. So pirates, with that, thank you, I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.